Minogue, good morning, and welcome to Native News Online's Election Coffee Break. This is our weekly morning chat about all things election, so grab a coffee and listen in while we discuss the latest November 2024 election coverage with our very own Native News Online election staff. And today is very exciting because tonight we will be watching the first presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. And Marlon actually published a story kind of giving the details about the debate. So, Marlon, how about you tell us a little bit about it? What time it's going to be, what station it's going to be on, and anything else you want to share?
Yeah, the debate's going to be tomorrow or tonight at, I believe it's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or actually Central Standard Time. And it's going to be on ABC. I guess it's streaming on Hulu and ABC News Live.
And did they give anything, any inkling about what they might discuss tonight?
The rules have no topics or questions are to be shared with the candidates or their campaigns. So it'll be, I think we can expect immigration will be on there, the economy will be on, and probably some foreign policy questions as well, is what I gather.
Levi, so what have you been hearing across Indian country as to what people want to hear from this debate?
Well, I think that Indian country is very similar to the rest of America. Kamala Harris, obviously, as we know, she's been the nominee for less than 60 days after President Joe Biden withdrew. And of course, Donald Trump has tried to make her out to be a communist. We actually get press releases where he refers to her as Comrade Harris, Comrade Kamala. But I think that America, even though some people may not have watched the acceptance speech she gave at the Democratic National Convention, 2-3 weeks ago now, and we were there, and it was an exciting time because she was able to really sell her, first attempt to really sell herself to a large audience. I think 29 million people watched it. Marlon, knew what the prediction for tonight is in terms of viewership is over 30 million, isn't it?
I believe it's over 30 million. Yeah, it's going to be, a lot of people already know, former President Trump, and it'll be kind of an introduction for VP Harris, even though she's been elected, in California as a senator, as a attorney general, and she's been elected as vice president the last 4 years. So it'll be an intro for her as as the Democratic presidential candidate for on such a grand scale.
Yeah, and some of us, obviously, we're at the political editorial team here at Native News. We watch this probably more than we should. I mean, like I eat, drink, and sleep politics these days, it seems. But one thing that's really interesting is Biden withdrew because of his age, supposedly, and people don't realize this. Like Trump is 78. He's approaching 80. He's younger than Biden, but not by much. And borrow from what Nikki Haley said, and I'm not a subscriber to Nikki Haley or a supporter of hers, I should say, but she did say this earlier this year: the party that decides to rid itself of the 80-year-old candidate was the party that's going to win. And I think tonight's debate, I think America should really pay really close attention to Trump's age. He has deteriorated from what pundits have said since, he ran in 2016. So we've been dealing with Donald Trump for 8-9 years now, right? He kind of came on the scene. He's been around for a long time, even before he ran for office. However, came down that notorious escalator 2015, and he's gotten so many headlines since then. good and bad. He was elected in 2016, but what the Democrats are saying is he's playing the same script that he played at 2015, and he's always trying to agitate like the world is falling apart. We're ready for World War III. We're going to go into a major depression. When you really look at the economy, we have one of the strongest economies in the world. Americans don't realize that. Even though companies have gouged us horribly after COVID, this economy is one of the world's best. And folks, if you don't believe me, look it up, fact check that, because I guess I, for one, am getting really tired of the fact that people are not paying close attention to this race like they should. With all the lies and misinformation that Donald Trump is putting out, it's going to be interesting to see how Kamala Harris, she puts her prosecutor's hat on. She's former prosecutor out in California, former attorney general. See how well she really prosecutes her case that she should become. And then you're dealing with a felon. She's going to share on stage. And I understand it's going to be the first time they get to meet each other. She'll be on stage with a convicted felon. The man will not be sentenced till after the election. And that the judge decided that last week. So Americans are going to have to go vote for a felon. They don't even know if their president's going to be sentenced to prison. So, Marlene, don't let me get on my soapbox too long. But what are you looking for tonight in terms of? I know Donald Trump. Is he gonna show his age or what?
Yeah, from some of the reading I've done, I'm not sure if hoping's the right word, but it sounds like the Harris campaign is preparing for insults to be come from Trump her way. So she's preparing for that. And in terms of the Trump side, I think, his base supports him regardless of whether he tells a lie or whether he, comes through on his campaign promises. I was reading one article that said that he promised manufacturing jobs to come back in his last presidency, and he really didn't come through on that for American voters. So, the fact checking is going to be a big portion of the debate tonight.
And
we do may plan on having live fact checking tonight, perhaps. So we will see if we have that. But one thing is for sure is that this debate is probably the most appearance so far for Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. As far as this campaign goes, we saw after the first debate between former President Donald Trump and current President Joe Biden that Biden's debate performance is what ultimately, led him to have to, graciously step out of the way for Kamala Harris, but nonetheless was led to mass questioning over whether or not President Biden was fit to run again. So this debate is definitely one of the most important appearances in this campaign. So I guess what are some of the things that you think they need to that these candidates need to touch on in order to gain the support of those who may be undecided?
I think one of the things to mention.
That's your dog, right?
Yeah, he has a dog. It's over here sleeping on the couch. Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
But the Harris campaign did release a kind of, I forget what they call those platforms, the campaign platform. So that, I guess that came out today. So, kind of making sure that she hits those points on the platform. And, for I think a lot of the Native people, one of the things that she was criticized for as Attorney General in California was not standing up for the tribes, but there, as the Attorney General, she represents the people, and that's kind of what she's been saying all along here on the presidential campaign. But there was some whether she was for tribal sovereignty, and she has since, said that she supports tribal sovereignty, and that's one of the big issues for Indian country for sure.
Yeah. And that on that issue of flip flopping, and some people call it flip flopping, some people call it just evolving, where I don't think there's anybody, especially who's a little older as an adult, has not changed their stances on things. Where what they thought about maybe in their 30s versus how they think in the 50s, their 40s and 50s, whole different world. And so I'm not so critical about the flip flop, but I think it's a hard thing to tag on Kamala Harris when you had Donald Trump about 10 days ago flip-flopping about every other hour about abortion. Because he was saying it so rapidly, I didn't know what he was talking about. I mean, what his stance is. And quite frankly, and what happened is he realized he wrote in some of his base. They were really mad about this issue in Florida, the 6-week ban that was very punitive, according to a lot of females. Well, Trump said he wouldn't support it. Well, then his evangelical base said, "Hey, what's going on?" And so he flip flopped real quick. So you talk about flip flopping. I mean, Donald Trump probably is the king of that this year. But I think it also, and it's going to be interesting to see tonight what they have to say about if Native Americans even are mentioned tonight. I mean, that's a question that. I'll be honest, I'm doubtful. What do you think, Neely? Do you think they're going to talk about it?
Well, yeah, I think we have seen a rise in the narrative that Native people need to be included in these conversations, on the stage where they are going to be talking about foreign policy. They're going to be talking about the issues in Ukraine, the issues in Palestine, and Israel. They're also going to be talking about the economy. But one thing that is always been left out is the mention of Indian country. And something that matters just as much is, what these candidates are going to do for Indian country. In 2020, we saw a record number of Native voters turn out to the polls, and that ended up in Joe Biden getting elected. So Native people are critical to this election. And I think in order for these candidates to really win over the Native voters who aren't decided yet, or maybe still want to gather more information, the way that either candidate is going to win them over is by discussing topics that matter to Indian country. And topics that matter to Indian country are protecting tribal sovereignty and the environment, protecting sacred sites.
Water rights
as well. And so Indian country is really looking for either candidate to discuss anything that matters to Indian country.
Yeah, and maybe we need to, Native News needs to invite them to do their debate on Native News Online and streaming.
Maybe one day.
Maybe we can get some direct answers about Indian issues, Native American issues, quite frankly. But and tonight I'm excited because we're going to host the commentary right after the debate on Facebook and YouTube channels. So you can go to Native News Online, you can see how to get there. And the three of us will be there. And we'll be joined with Aaron Payman, Dr. Aaron Payman, who's doing some work for the National Congress of American Indians about getting out the vote. And O.J. Siemens, who's from Four Directions Native Vote, and that's a Native American advocacy group. And O.J.'s he and his wife started Four Directions many years ago. And I want to say, as I recall, over 25 years ago, thereabouts. And they have really worked really hard about ensuring that there's no voter suppression. So I'm interested to hear what both of those gentlemen have to say tonight. And then we have a couple of tribal leaders will be on, and we'll see who else. And maybe we'll have other people join us. But I'm looking forward to that commentary so that we can really zero in on the needs of Indian country. But in the beginning, we will talk about who won the debate, who was strong. We'll do some fact checking and just I keep going back to that fact checking because, and I wrote a commentary about it. We really need to pay attention to those who are giving out accurate information, the mistruth. And I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat. I think the American public deserve truthfulness.
So regardless.
That's how you build trust, right? You got to be truthful, and not always pleasant, but be truthful. Don't come with a bunch of lies. And I think that we're going to be talking about that tonight. So
Yes, so regardless of whether or not Indian country is discussed on the big stage, Indian country and what matters to it will be discussed at our presidential debate commentary tonight after the debate.
Mhm.
So, miigwech for joining us today, and we hope to share a coffee again during our next election coffee break. This was your coffee break, election coffee break with Native News Online, and thank you for joining us.
join us again soon. Miigwech. See you tonight, hopefully.